My name is Peter Vilas. I am going to be the moderator this evening, and that is my sole function. I'm here impartially to moderate this proceeding. When I pulled up here with my brother, I said I expect there to be at least 24, 25, maybe 50 people here. Pulled into the parking lot and I said, this isn't Cathedral's Committee for Cathedral Action. And I looked around, I said, is it a church service? I don't think so. You must have the wrong place. So let me tell you, I am impressed. This is Cathedral Action. Now, I did not go to Cathedral High School, but every friend was once a stranger. So I want you to know that I express my deepest gratitude to you for allowing me to appear here this evening as your moderator. Now, I don't usually moderate in this setting. The setting that I moderate in is one that some of the folks that are seated in your audience that you can be really proud of that are colleagues of mine. At least 3 of them that I saw, and that's Judge Hurley, Judge Payne, and Judge Mulcahy. I'm almost positive they're all Cathedral products, so let me tell you folks, I rub shoulders with them. You have a lot to be proud of. I mean that. We have some distinguished elected officials here today, one of whom has a little less distinction than the other, and I'm going to, a little difficult because I know him better than you do. But in any event, we have Representative Angelo Pupolo is here. Representative John Vilas is here. Senator-elect Derek Lesser is here. And Chicopee School Committeeman Mike Peace is here. I also will, during the course of this proceeding, be announcing other public officials who have a different role than just being here. But I must at this juncture just say that we have Councilors Rook and Allen, and I believe the President himself, Mr. Fenton, is here. Oh. And the President of the City Council is. If I've left anyone out, I know what that's like. All I have to do is come to my home and walk in at night. I know what it's like. All right, folks, let's get started now by me just telling you that, once again, my role here is to be a moderator. And I'm quite serious when I say to you that the theme of this entire proceeding is one that I would expect nothing different from in the population of the Cathedral community. And that is the highest respect for each other. And most of all, do not get disorderly, because then you'll do nothing but demonstrate a disrespect for yourself. And disrespect does nothing but create counterproductivity. We're here to listen to you. I'm here to moderate. If, for some reason, you are not able to completely express your thoughts while you're articulating, that would only be for logistical purposes because of time. So I want you to fully understand it is not the intention of this moderator nor anyone else from the committee to ever cut anyone off. You're here, obviously, they wanted you to be here. It's through their efforts, and I think you ought to give them a big hand. Look at what they've done. Look who they turned out. Okay. Last remarks that I want to make, and it kind of is profound in the sense that it has a broad dimension, is this is going to be, without a doubt, a clear manifestation of our exercise of free speech here tonight. Now, you can either honor those founders who gave it to you or dishonor them. And you honor them by being orderly, organized, no finger pointing, no accusations, no blame pointed one way or another, but just say something creative and constructive. You know, you'll be able to understand fully what I mean because you know the full theme and the reason why we're here. So without any further ado, I now want to call on Sister Joyce Wise to give us an opening prayer.
I think I'm not impartial. I think I'm partial. I'm here to introduce my husband, our Lord. It's a loving God who gathers us here tonight. God is with us as we gather with many mixed emotions. The underlying emotions being concern, confusion, but definitely love and hope for a school that has unselfishly educated, formed, and at times disciplined, at least I was, but always and ever a school who cared for and loved each and every one of us. And I think maybe now would be a good time to quietly lift up to the Lord all those wonderful sisters, some who are with God, some who are still alive, and the lay teachers who sacrificed greatly, and all the alumni who are with our Lord, because to them we owe an awful lot. Thanks especially, I think, Dr. Ann Southworth for her vision and her efforts. Therefore, with gratitude, we thank so many of you who have worked so tirelessly to rebuild a new Cathedral High School. Oh Lord, how we need it. There is such a need, dear God, for a strong parochial institution to instruct, direct, educate, and love our Christian youth. To rebuild the oldest and most respected institution so that any and all children who wish to attend will have the option, due to the generosity of so very many sitting right in this room. Good sound education in all areas is our hope for the future and for the diocese. Dear God, please bless our efforts to proceed with determination, open hearts and minds, with compassion and trust, so that we will soon make Cathedral High School a reality. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Thank you, sister. Now, folks, I would like to call on Chairman Alfredo DeLacia for the opening remarks.
Thank you for coming tonight. It is my hope that you will be inspired to be part of the campaign for a new Cathedral High School and actively support what we are attempting to accomplish by working together. A little over a week ago, I met with Councilman Tim Allen, who represents the East Forest Park neighborhood of Springfield, the 7th Ward, where the cathedral is located. He said to me at that time, there are a lot of us who want a new cathedral, but our efforts are too individual and too splintered, that we need to all band together as one. He was right. This sparked Campaign Cathedral. If you look at the chart over here, we have representation in support of Cathedral from over 20,000 alumni. Western Mass and City of Springfield leadership is behind the new cathedral. The Cathedral Board is behind the new cathedral. The Cathedral administration, staff, faculty, and all the associated families, and I did say staff. Yeah. The East Forest Park neighborhood, corporate sponsors, and certainly the Committee for Cathedral Action, CCA. It is readily evident that if all of us work together, a very powerful voice, we have the ability to show the bishop that a strong consensus does exist to build a new Cathedral High School. CCA was formed about a year and a half ago with 4 core members. Tim Allen, who I've already mentioned, Tim Rook, also a well-known councilman, Darrell DeVillier, who has a long family history with Cathedral that's just amazing, including several years as a coach and myself. In addition, Cathedral grad Mike Fenton, who is currently the president of the Springfield City Council, has also given us advisory help. We have one simple, clear purpose: to get the new cathedral built on Surrey Road and give the students the high school they deserve now and in the future. We have no other agenda. This is a simple, straightforward one. I don't have to tell you about the great history and legacy of Cathedral, the very famous grads, as well as so many others who are regularly contributing to society. Just good, great people. We have I believe, a Cathedral grad here, Scott Barnes, pitcher of the Cleveland Indians. At least Pat Moriarty said he was going to be here. So I want to acknowledge him. He's here. Recently, a woman named Kathy Manning from Eastern Mass wrote into our new CCA Facebook page, which already has, by the way, about 2,600 hits in, I think, less than a week. Her comments, I think they're pretty profound. When I read it, I was impressed. I didn't attend Cathedral myself, but I have worked with hundreds of young people who did. They are among the finest people I've ever met. The Diocese of Springfield needs to rebuild Cathedral High School and send a clear message that it places a very high value on Catholic education for its teens. And this is a person from Eastern Mass from afar. And how she knows Cathedral? The graduates. The fact is that Cathedral is interwoven into the very fabric of the greater Springfield, Western Mass area, and this must continue. The fact is, Catholic education, led by the flagship school Cathedral, is the very lifeblood Catholicism in our diocese. What could be more important to the Roman Catholic Diocese of Springfield than our children? Let me touch on what can be. So many like to concentrate on the negative: low enrollment, money issue, demographics, on and on. Many of the comments are based upon broad generalizations. Some are inaccurate. I call it the harbinger of doom scenario. We need to shake off being negative. That's step number one. Let me tell you, Cathedral is not a loser. Cathedral is a winner. Always was. It always will be. If you don't water a plant, it doesn't grow and it eventually dies. I firmly believe that Cathedral can be a well-attended, financially viable, and successful school for many years to come. All it takes is a positive commitment from the diocese and the leadership. I've done extensive research and study and tried to find the common thread of successful Catholic schools. We do this in business all the time. Study the successful companies, learn from them, and then apply what makes sense to us. It starts with leadership and a positive can-do attitude. Let me give you an example, and there are many. Sister Mary McCarthy is president of Mercy High School in Middletown, Connecticut, with a population of 48,000 people. 3 miles down Randolph Road in Middletown is the twin Catholic school of Xavier, one a girls' high school, one a boys'. Combined, they have over 1,500 students and have no problem sustaining enrollment. Their tuition is over $12,000 a year. I asked Sister McCarthy how dependent they are on the diocese for money, and she said hardly at all. They pay for about 95% of their expenses themselves. In addition to tuition, each year they have a major fundraising campaign. All the alumni and supporters know that the school is dependent upon them for survival, and they deliver. The money goes directly to the school. They trust Sister McCarthy and know the money will be applied properly towards school needs. This shows what can be done through trust, crystal clear communication, clarity of purpose, and positive leadership. In my research, I have found many examples of successful Catholic high schools. Some even have waiting lists. The common thread is positive leadership, an understanding of the strategic importance of Catholic education, trust within the Catholic community, crystal clear communication and clarity of purpose. Where this is present, people willingly support. Two examples quickly. Catholic Central, located in Lawrence, Massachusetts, very much a blue-collar town, population of 77,000 people. They have 1,350 students. Yet if you look at their demographics, the median house income is only $25,983. They draw upon the surrounding area as well as Lawrence, just like Cathedral should be able to do, where we have varying demographics in the greater metropolitan area and north central Connecticut. More on this in a minute. Their tuition is $12,260. They just built a new synthetic turf athletic field at a cost of $2 million. This was supported a great deal by alumni and corporate sponsors. By the way, town of 77,000. They have two Catholic high schools in Lawrence. The other one is Notre Dame High. East Catholic High School, located in Manchester, Connecticut, 720 students, tuition $11,700, population of 58,000. Again, just like Cathedral, they draw upon a larger population. They're currently going through a $6 million capital project, building a new science edition and other building upgrades. All of this money is from private donors. There are many more successful Catholic high schools that we can learn from. We can learn how to market properly to keep enrollment up, how to communicate, how to build trust so that people will support you, how to creatively and continually raise money so as to become self-sufficient. It's all right there in front of us. There are examples all over. Now let's look at our area. The U.S. Census is estimated that the greater Springfield metropolitan area, that's 3 counties, has a population just under 700,000 people. That may surprise you. If you add about 100,000 from north central Connecticut, and we do draw students from that region, including my grandson, we have close to 800,000 people. Now, in the core of that geographic area, we can achieve a balance of helping deserving students from low-income families, attracting students from middle and high-income families as well. The facts show that within this region, the demographics are broad and varied. Approached properly, and with some good marketing in Cathedral, there exists a very good opportunity of attracting students from families of all income levels, just like Catholic Central in Lawrence. Out of the very large population, with some smart marketing, let me ask you, can we attract about 500 to 600 students to a great school like Cathedral? Let me hear a yes, we can. Yes, we can. Can we, with strong, positive leadership, trust, clarity of purpose, and a commitment, find creative ways like Sister McCarthy to financially support Cathedral? Let me hear a yes, we can. Yes, we can. You have to believe. I mean this with all respect, but it appears evident that Bishop Rosansky has to date had limited input on Cathedral. I'm afraid that some of those he's consulted with had a bias against building Cathedral building a new school from the very beginning. I believe we want to keep it positive, but I believe those who are against the new Cathedral need to really search their conscience and ask themselves why they do not support the Catholic education of our children that is so vital to them and vital to the very future of the diocese. The bishop has unfortunately reached an early conclusion. Now they're studying it, so there's hope. But I feel a wrong conclusion at this point has been made. And there's no consensus to build, he said, listening only to the smaller minority of some lay people and clergy. Yet, Pope Francis made an appeal to all bishops and those in religious leadership to go and listen to the people. This, in my opinion, is what the bishop needs to do. I pray and hope that he does listen to all of us and his entire flock. We are here today to help him see that there is a strong consensus. It does exist. It is much more than a popular consensus. It is an informed, deeply spiritual, business-oriented consensus that cares about our children and the future of the diocese. My message to Bishop Rosansky: if a high priority isn't given to Catholic education and the nurturing of our children in Catholicism, in the not too distant future, less than a generation away, the pews will be empty.
Oh, yeah.
You have to invest in our children, and that means Catholic education. I'm amazed that this isn't recognized at the diocesan level. We are here to support the bishop. All he has to do is ask, listen to his flock, and lead. Once a commitment is made, our group, CCA, is willing to work with the bishop on continuing and looking for creative ways to raise money for Cathedral. And I want to tell you, we've got a great group. I've never worked with such an excellent group of people in my life. Those against Cathedral need to come into the light and reveal themselves. Why are you opposed to Cathedral? Closed small meetings, in my opinion, aren't going to do the job. We are the stakeholders. All of us in this room, those groups listed on the chart that you see over there, and his entire flock. Those who were affected by church closings did not like the small meeting process at all. Just ask them and they'll tell you. There's a couple of gentlemen here that have been through that. We are here tonight as part of what we're calling Campaign Cathedral. We are here tonight working together in a unified manner to show that yes, there is a strong consensus. And yes, there is a strong determination to build a new cathedral. You will hear tonight from other speakers, and we will sum up with a few positive steps that each of you can take to help. Our goal, with your support, a new Cathedral High School. There is more than enough money to build. There should be no further delays. Don't you dare give up on Cathedral. Don't you dare give up on demanding the new school be built. We have the money. All it takes is a commitment and leadership. No further study. It has been 3.5 years. All we need to do is water the plant called Cathedral, and it will bloom full and beautiful. Let me leave you with a quotation from Scripture from today's Mass. Amen, I say to you, whatever you ask in prayer, believe that you will receive and it shall be given to you, says the Lord. Pray for Cathedral. We are Cathedral. Again, thank you for coming, and may God bless you. Thank you very much.
Before I introduce the next speaker, based on the remarks that I just heard, to acquaint you in the next 15 seconds with a story. Westfield High School and Cathedral High School are arch rivals on Thanksgiving. I hail from the Wood City. Here's what I want to tell you, folks, and my recollection was refreshed just by looking at this crowd and listening to this gentleman's remarks. Now, this may not be the role of a moderator, I am to be an impartial person, but I don't consider this an adverse proceeding. And part of impartiality, a good part of it, is honesty. I was standing, freezing, I felt like a popsicle at one of those Thanksgiving Day games, next to my nephew, John Velas. And we were watching the fans and watching this Cathedral team that had a very meager complement of ball players compared to the onslaught of this Westfield juggernaut. And I remember my nephew turning to me saying, these Cathedral folk have heart. I'll never forget that. I can see that here tonight. So folks, let me go on. I was just compelled to tell you that because he reminded me of that. All right. Now, folks, as these speakers are addressing you, I want you to know that if you raise your hand, someone will come to the table where you're seated, and if you have a written question on the index card, they'll gather those cards, bring them forward, the question will be presented, and there will be an answer given from whom it is, to whom it's addressed. So understand that. So you can write, that will not be considered discourteous when a speaker is speaking, and it might be something that engenders a question that you may want to ask that speaker or another speaker that's going to follow, or one that had previously spoken. So feel free to write on these index cards, raise your hands, otherwise no one will know that you have a question. All right. Okay, now on behalf of Mayor Sarno, I would like to introduce a representative of his, Mr. Jimmy Light. Jim?
Good evening, everybody. Again, as you said, my name is Jim Light. I'm the Communications Director for Mayor Sarno here in the city of Springfield. And like one of our other speakers, Margaret Boyle, but proud Cathedral graduate. To Al's point, when the tornado struck East Forest Park and decimated Cathedral High School, in the preceding 3.5 years, I personally was privy to Mayor Sarno going back and forth with FEMA literally for years now. And the day he was able to announce the $29 million to come here and rebuild Cathedral was probably one of the joyous occasions I think he's had in his administration since he was first elected. So like many of you now, he's calling on the bishop and the diocese to honor the commitment that they made back here in March to rebuild Cathedral on Surrey Road. Since the tornado, the city of Springfield has stepped up. We provided busing to the students of Cathedral from Springfield to the cost of $1.2 million to get them to Wilbraham every day. He has also pledged his assistance in the form of expertise from our superintendent, Dan Warwick, our Parks, Recreation, and Buildings Management Director, Pat Sullivan, and our Capital Asset Construction Director, Peter Garvey, to lend their expertise wherever possible to assist the diocese in rebuilding. So with that, Mayor Sarno stands with the residents, the students, the alumni, calling on the bishop to please rebuild Cathedral on Surrey Road where it belongs, that has a rich history here in Springfield, as well as a stewardship in Catholic education, and that's where it belongs. So thank you very much. We'll talk to you later. I think the mayor will be here. He was at a school committee meeting that was previously scheduled. He sends his deep regrets that he can't be here, but hopefully he will be able to make it in time later on this evening. So thank you and have a good evening, everybody.
Thank you, Jim. All right, now we're honored to have a student here, Brendan Markey. Brendan, would you come up, please? Here you go.
Hi, my name is Brendan Markey. As you already know, I'm a junior at Cathedral High School. For as long as I can remember, I knew I was going to high school at Cathedral. It really wasn't even a question for me. My father and mother had both gone to Cathedral, as well as nearly all of my uncles and aunts. Cathedral pretty much ran in my family. Frankly, I never even imagined myself going anywhere else. So when I was a 7th grader at St. Michael's Academy, 4 years of high school on Surrey Road pretty much seemed like a given. Obviously, nature had some other plans, giving us the tornado on June 1st and making us all very unsure about the future of Cathedral High School for a little while. Thankfully, Cathedral's found a temporary home in Wilbraham, and a promise was made to rebuild. So the classes of 2015, 2016, myself included, 2017, and this year, 2018, joined the ranks at Cathedral in Wilbraham. Obviously, there have been a lot of challenges faced and sacrifices made by the student body in order to get a Cathedral education. Going to high school and an elementary school hasn't been easy, and long rides to Wilbraham every morning obviously aren't a whole lot of fun. Due to the lack of sports facilities in Wilbraham, we've spent what feels like half our lives on bus rides and road trips to alternate practice facilities, and and we have been without a true home for far too long. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. Despite these challenges, I've loved my experience at Cathedral. I've made some great friends and had an amazing 2.5 years. Despite being such a small school, Cathedral is still doing some pretty amazing things. We have top-notch athletics, more D1 commits than the average school of 1,500, an amazing theater program, international baccalaureate academics, and seniors going to top-tier colleges. Clearly, Cathedral's pretty great. And I wouldn't be up here if I didn't honestly believe that Cat High is worth saving. A city the size of Springfield needs to have a Catholic high school, and future students deserve to have the same opportunity that myself and my peers have had at Cathedral. Actually, they deserve more than that. They deserve to have the state-of-the-art new high school on Surrey Road that was promised to us. And we have the capability to give that to them. The insurance company has come through with $48 million, and FEMA's provided us with another $28 million. We have $5 million pledged to the Tuition Assistance Fund, and more large donors ready to give when they see a shovel in the ground. I'm sure that with the help of all of you, we can raise even more money to help kids get the education they deserve. It's been a long wait, but now we have the perfect opportunity to create a new cathedral. We've waited 3.5 years, but now it's time for action. It's time to step up and save Cat High. It's time to rebuild. Thank you.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker will be addressing you on behalf of the Honorable Congressman Richard Neal, and that's Ms. Margaret Boyle, representing the Congressman. Margaret.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Margaret Boyle, and I'm representing Congressman Neal as he's stuck in Washington and not able to make it this evening. As was said earlier, I am a proud graduate of Cathedral, and so is the Congressman. He's a member of the faculty, and his 4 children were both students and athletes there. As he has said many times before, the history of Springfield and Cathedral are intertwined, and it's simply hard to imagine one without the other. That is why he pledged to aggressively seek as much federal assistance as possible immediately following the tornado to rebuild Cathedral on the original Surrey Road site. When FEMA awarded the taxpayer money to the diocese last March, he believed he had kept his word and delivered on that promise. In fact, the figure exceeded every stakeholder's expectations. And that is why we are so pleased to hear Bishop McDonald say to us, "We now have the brick and mortar funds to rebuild on Surrey Road, and so we shall." When Bishop Brzezinski was installed in August, Congressman Neal pledged to work with him in good faith to begin the rebuilding process as quickly as possible. And while he recognized that the bishop had an extremely difficult task of becoming knowledgeable of the range of local issues, he looked forward to keeping the rebirth of Cathedral both on schedule and especially on site. Congressman Neal has said that the recent decision by the diocese to further delay that process has shocked him. While he is prepared to give the diocese a reasonable amount of time and space to determine the best way forward, he remains firm in his belief that the only appropriate use of this money is to rebuild Cathedral on Surrey Road. Congressman Neal promises to continue working forward with all of you on achieving this important goal for the city of Springfield, for everyone here, and for the entire region. Thank you.
now with respect to the board chairman, Pat Garrity. Pat?
Good evening. As you heard, my name is Pat Garrity. I'm a graduate of the class of 1981, and I've heard now about 6 or 7 people who have been speaking already, and also graduates. That's clearly an example that today's students are tomorrow's leaders. And Brendan Markey did a great example. He is going to be one of our leaders. On behalf of the Cathedral Board of Trustees, I come here tonight to support a new cathedral to be built here in Springfield, here in East Forest Park, here on Surrey Road. Cathedral continues to thrive under the dedicated leadership of John Miller and Dr. Ann Southworth. These two committed educators have continued to fulfill the mission of Cathedral despite significant hardships over the past 3 years. Their leadership has seen the development and execution of the strategic plan, which culminated with the acceptance as an international baccalaureate school. Through the hard work and the commitment of the faculty and staff at Cathedral High School, they continue to fulfill the mission to educate young men and women spiritually, intellectually, emotionally, physically, to embrace responsible citizenship in the global community. In the past several years, there have been several reviews, many stakeholder meetings to discuss the place and role of Catholic education in the Diocese of Springfield. Cathedral's importance as a regional Catholic educational center for the development of young people of faith has always proven to be needed and necessary. The need for an appropriately sized cathedral is clearly evident. Just to give you an update on some of the things that have been going on with Cathedral over on Surrey Road, the abatement process is complete. I don't know if anybody's driven by it. It's certainly worth driving by. The utilities are being disconnected this week, which makes room for the demolition. This afternoon, about 2 o'clock, I had Costello dismantling that came in, and I have here a copy of the permit that will be issued next week to start the demo on Surrey Road. In addition, education specifications for the new cathedral are 75% complete. The endowment fund for tuition assistance has reached $4.7 million in donations, pledges, and verbal commitments. I want to make sure everybody understands that. We are continuing to meet and exceed our expectations. The process that Bishop Rosansky has initiated to meet with various stakeholders is important. It is an opportunity for everyone to show their support for the building of the campus for this great storied institution, to voice their support for Catholic education in Springfield, and to come together as one group for the Catholic youth and the teens of this city. In short, the state of the school is strong, commitment to Cathedral is evident, and the need for the school is present. Thank you for your support, thank you for your commitment, and thank you for inviting me this evening.
Okay, now, lo and behold, the most important people of all, the parents. On behalf of the parents, can you hear me, folks? I'd like to call upon Daryl DeVillier. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Daryl. Where are you? Thank you. Is that pronounced right?
I'd first like to thank you all for coming. It's great to see the crowd tonight. It says a lot about what we think about Cathedral High School. Like many of you, I'm a graduate of Cathedral High School, class in 1979. And it seems like the blink of an eye, my wife and I have sent 4 of our children through Cathedral. Our 5th child, Emma, is currently a sophomore at the high school. I can remember when my son, Tucker, was in 8th grade. A classmate's father was talking about where they would be sending their daughter. He made it very clear that he could send his daughter anywhere, but he chose to send her to Cathedral to be a Cathedral person. I can remember when they graduated 4 years later, it hit me as a parent what that meant. The graduates from Cathedral High School are special. They stand out in the crowd. I don't know if it's the Holy Spirit or a miracle, but a Catholic education gives them just that little bit more. Those intangibles cannot be defined, but our kids need every bit of extra help they can today, coping in today's world. I have volunteered for just about everything at Cathedral and have had the privilege of being a coach for soccer, wrestling, and for the last 9 years, lacrosse. It was great to be associated with such outstanding student athletes. Each and every one of them is a testament to their parents. That, to me, is why we are here tonight. We need to keep developing Cathedral people. For some reason, the diocese has lost their way about their mission and what this school stands for, past, present, and future. Many will say it isn't what it was. The teachers are older. The faculty are no longer the Sisters of St. Joseph. The education isn't what it used to be, but I can tell you firsthand, they are all wrong. We still have dedicated, committed teachers in every classroom doing their lives' mission. Our graduates are competing in college with the students from prep schools and the best public schools in the country, and they are excelling. This was the case with many of you sitting in the audience tonight. Your foundation was the key to your success. Nothing has changed. As a coach, I remember telling the seniors in their last game, they didn't know it yet, but they would look back on their time at Cathedral and it would mean more to them than they could ever imagine. I know that feeling as an alumni, a parent, and as a coach. It means as much today as it did then, and that's why we need to fight for Cathedral. Cathedral is special. As parents and now possibly grandparents, we have the opportunity to do what our parents did for us. They made a decision to provide their children with a Catholic education in an academic environment that asks more for them than just showing up. It asks them to take responsibility for themselves and to be a part of their community, to be leaders, to make a difference, to challenge themselves to be more than average. The world is full of average people. Why not promote being exceptional? That message hasn't changed whether the class size is 600 or 60. That is what Cathedral High School is all about. We need a school like that in Springfield. We need Cathedral High School to be rebuilt. I tend to be a little long, but I am very passionate about my school. We all know it comes down to money. It isn't easy. But if we had a plan, a concise plan, fostered on enthusiasm and strategic planning, the money would come in. I am out in the community on a daily basis, and people are constantly coming up to me saying, what's going on at Cathedral? Where are we going? Many say they're willing to give, but to what? We don't have any concrete answers or directives from Elliott Street. I honestly believe that from day one, if they had had a definitive plan in place, we wouldn't be talking about $10 million for our endowment. We'd have already had $20 million in the bank. We need to be more creative in finding ways to be self-sufficient. We can rebuild Cathedral to the shining star it once was. With a state-of-the-art building and its core values, people will come if given a chance, the chance we were promised. We're talking about shaping the future of Catholic education for decades with this new school. It is possible. People will support what they believe in if they have leaders who actually lead. It will take efforts from all of us. Now is the time to stand up and be heard. As parents and grandparents, we have all tried at one time or another to inspire our youth with the phrase, anything worth having is worth fighting for. Folks, I hope that wasn't just lip service. Now it's our turn. If not now, when? Thank you for your continued support.
Just before I introduce a member of the faculty, I want to call your attention, folks, to the fact that the mayor is here. He came apparently from his school committee duties. Apparently the superintendent is here also, Sawala. So as I go down the line of Cathedral graduates, unless I'm sadly mistaken, someone dear to my heart is here, Laura Gentile, your clerk of courts. I especially point her out because she's here, folks, and this isn't court business. So let me tell you, she's dutiful and concerned about the Cathedral High School. All right, I can't reach that line of impartiality, but if I do, so what? All right. Okay, folks, I now would like to introduce a faculty member from Cathedral, Jeremiah Begley. Jeremiah Begley.
Good evening. My name is Jeremiah Begley, and I am living proof that Cathedral teachers are not all old. First and foremost, I want to thank you all for being so invested in the future of Cathedral. Your support during these recent days has been a source of strength and hope for all of us. The word investment comes from the Latin verb investire, to put on clothes. For many decades, the most visible form of investment in Cathedral High School was the religious habit of the Sisters of St. Joseph, who founded and have staffed the school for 131 years. If Catholic education is to survive today, however, it must be both ever ancient and ever new. Catholic schools must faithfully teach the timeless truths of the Catholic faith, while simultaneously pursuing new and innovative ways to provide education that is both financially sustainable and affordable for families. At Cathedral, we have already begun making radical changes to our financial model. This past spring, we kicked off a campaign for the centerpiece of this new model, the Cathedral Endowment Fund for Tuition Assistance. My principal purpose here tonight is to urge you to commit to a financial investment, along with the emotional and spiritual investment you already feel, by making a pledge right here, right now, on the pledge forms provided for you, to the Cathedral Endowment Fund for Tuition Assistance. If you're worried that the Endowment Fund campaign simply postpones the day when Cathedral will run out of money, know that the Endowment Fund is not a sum to be spent, but invested. The original monies remain in the portfolio, and only the investment income is used each year to provide scholarships and need-based aid. If you think the Endowment Fund campaign will have no effect upon the bishop's decision about Cathedral, know that every public statement from diocesan officials has indicated that they are primarily concerned with Cathedral's sustainability, affordability, and enrollment. The Endowment Fund for Tuition Assistance simultaneously addresses all three of these issues by enabling us to reduce our financial burden on the diocese, to attract students with merit and need-based aid, and make a Cathedral education available to every student who wishes to attend. Finally, if you're offended that we're asking for money now in this time of uncertainty, know that you can get your donation back if the school is not rebuilt. Know also that we are asking primarily for pledges, that is, promises to donate once construction begins on the new building. Most importantly, however, I would argue that there has never been a better or more crucial time to pledge or give to Cathedral. To pledge now is to give Cathedral a fighting chance to endure. Waiting until later may well ensure that later never comes. I wish to end as I began, with thanks. On behalf of all of my colleagues, I thank you for giving us the opportunity to live out our vocation as Catholic educators, and for giving us the hope that we may continue to answer God's call in this way. The simple truth is this: we need you, and we will always need you. We need your prayers and your pledges, your investment of talents in both the literal and the allegorical senses. We need you to act as ambassadors to your friends, your relatives, your co-workers, and your parish priests, to tell them how Cathedral has shaped your faith and changed your life. We need you, not to bring back a bygone age, but to usher in a new one, in which the rebuilt Cathedral High School fulfills its institutional vocation as a wellspring for the economic, the cultural, and the spiritual renewal of the entire Diocese of Springfield. We need you, or, since the Cathedral community, like the communion of saints, encompasses all the faithful, living and dead, we all need one another. Thank you, God bless you, and may God continue to bless Cathedral High School.
It's always great to hear from someone from the neighborhood. So, at this point, I'd like to call upon Elizabeth Samay, or is it Samay? How do I pronounce that? Samay. Right the first time. She's an East Forest Park neighbor. Where is Elizabeth? Elizabeth Samay.
Good evening. I consider it an honor to be here tonight with all of you. And I'd like to take this time to thank Tim Allen and the Committee for Cathedral Action for inviting me to come tonight as a friend and as a good neighbor to share my story and why I really believe, that we must save Cathedral High School. Although, after hearing about how everyone has graduated from Cathedral, I am the black sheep because I did not. Teddy Roosevelt said, in any situation, the best thing to do is the right thing. The next best thing you can do is the wrong thing. The worst thing you can do is nothing. This coming February, it will be 11 years since my husband and I moved from a 4-bedroom, 3-bath, 2.5-car garage on a half-acre lot in a very nice cul-de-sac with great neighbors in the lovely town of East Long Meadow to the top of the hill on Wendover Road, in which we knocked on the door and asked to buy their home. When some of our friends and neighbors found out, they quickly would respond, incredulously, I might add, "What? Why would you do that?" Well, we did have some very good reasons, and the one I'm just going to share tonight is simply that our 3 daughters had grown and were out of the house, and we just wanted to simplify our lives and kind of get back some time. The question to answer, though, was where? He had his thoughts, condo living. I had mine, not condo living. As weeks went on and frustrations became greater, I, too, believed in prayer and sat quietly by myself and just simply said, "Lord, you know our needs, you know his, you know mine. If there's a house out there that can work, please bring it across our path. Thank you, amen." That was it. That was on a Friday. My husband knew nothing about this. On Sunday, we were in the area, and he said, "I want to show you this house that someone has built on that property I've always talked to you about and thought would be a great place to live." Okay. So we come down the end of Harmon Avenue, and what do you see? Cathedral High School. And you know, I thought about it and realized how it's prominently positioned on that property. That you can see Cathedral High School no matter which way you come into the area. That's pretty significant, I think. Anyway, we went by the house. I liked it. Came home. We started to come home. Decided to turn around, knock on the door, chatted with the owner. Went home. 20 minutes later, he called. "Would you like to come back and see the house?" That was in September 2003. As I said, at the end of February 2004, we moved in. Now, what attracted us? Well, before I can answer that, let me just comment on something. Many of you may have heard what's going on with the student prints, and how a few months ago they said, the owners said that they've come to the end. They have to close the doors. And a prominent businessman decided this was worth saving, and he and others got together and formulated a plan, and it looks as though they have saved the student prints. And that's great. It's great for everyone. Business West that went on at length, 3 pages or more, talking about this whole plan, the history of this great restaurant, and some of the ways it was described was as iconic, critical part of Springfield's DNA, symbol of Springfield, enormous sense of pride in bringing this restaurant back. It's a restaurant. How much more can be said about Cathedral High School as a symbol of Springfield, of being a critical part of Springfield's DNA, and as expressed tonight, the enormous pride that people have had since the doors first opened in 1883. And I was amazed to learn that this school has seen 2 world wars, Korean War, the 1929 stock market crash, the Great Depression, the Vietnam War, the gas shortages, and the energy crisis, and numerous financial crises. How do you think the people felt in 1975 when the diocese had to ask for the families to pay tuition? They went from free, you gotta pay. How do you think that felt in 1975? Well, I think you would agree with me that Cathedral High School is a cornerstone to this community and the global community of Springfield. It is a beacon of light that must continue to shine. I understand, I really do, how hard it is with the economy and what a struggle it can be. I really can empathize with that. Because many, many years ago, when my husband and I committed to a private Christian education, we were challenged. It was the Carter years. Life was filled with uncertainty. We were broke. And anyone who saw our financials would have said, you cannot afford to do this. We encountered the loss of a family business. Some of you may remember Samays Texaco on Allen Street. Well, the gas shortage took care of that. Because banks were not lending money. Where have we heard that lately? And an unexpected but wonderful addition to our family had to be paid out of pocket for me to keep my doctor because our insurance hadn't kicked in yet with my husband's new job. So I get it. But I tell you the truth, and make no mistake, where God guides, God will provide. And He will open doors that you could never have imagined otherwise. The mission of Cathedral High School is being tested right now. Our future and the future of our children for generations to come will suffer if this school dies. It will be a huge loss on many levels. One of the things my husband and I enjoyed so much after moving to Wendover before the tornado was we could hear the announcements for the football games and the soccer games, and then seeing the kids run up that hill, the Wendover Hill, the great hill for working out, and just the energy and the positive feeling that it brought to the whole neighborhood. It was great. So in closing, and I could say so much more, the committee has spent countless hours fighting this fight, giving up a lot of their personal lives. They have pressed in against great odds. They need your support too. It's time for each of us to turn from our negativity and speaking lack to taking a stand and getting people you know that are not here tonight to give their voice and support. And like so many here, as a woman of faith, I will let the words of my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, speak as He engaged with a father who pleaded for the healing of his son. If you believe, all things, not some, not a few, not if it's convenient, all things are possible to them that believe. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's clear, and the evidence is pretty compelling, that Cathedral High School has been a source and a birthplace of so many people that have given so much to our society, especially here in Western Massachusetts, throughout the country, and frankly, throughout the world. Now, once again, I'm here as an impartial master of ceremonies now. I've gone from whatever I'm supposed to be as a moderator to a master of ceremonies. I'd be very remiss if I didn't have a few prefatory remarks about this next Cathedral graduate. He not only is an icon in our area, he not only is humble, he not only is unselfish, and he better be on his way up here. Ladies and gentlemen, this is that great sheriff. There's never been one like him.
How about Lisbon? How about Jerry Begley? What a great talk, you know.
Look at Fenton, you know. How the heck did we get out of Cathedral High School? That's all I can tell you, know. There's so many graduates like that, and I'm certainly one of them. The poor nuns are looking down in the good old York Street or Ludlow saying, Mike, I don't know how you did it. You know, we thought you were going to be in the can, okay? Not managing the can, you know. But, no, listen, I'm very honored to be here, and like all of you, and I really feel, and I get emotional, that I wouldn't be sheriff today without being a graduate of Cathedral High School, you know. And, I think the other thing, too, that's been so emphasized is about our Catholic education. And, you know, we always look back and say, how do we get shaped, you know? And again, the great part of my life were the nuns, the Sisters of St. Joseph. And when I think of two things that really have been my hallmark as sheriff, the dignity and worth of every person who's valued and their potential. And that's something that's been really part of my life. And I like to feel, not only my life, but the staff. And really, when you think about it, what's public safety all about? It's impacting those people in our lives, and so they can lead better lives. And so I'm just really honored and blessed to be sheriff. And Cathedral High School has been that mainstay, if you will, in terms of that Catholic education I received. I, too, am here for a personal reason. My grandson goes to Cathedral High School. He's in the 8th grade. And when I asked him, how are things going, he said, Papa, I love Cathedral High School, okay? So on, okay? And I want to tell you right now that Marky and Mulcahy, okay, are mentors to him. What a beautiful situation that is, because he's running track, and I can't tell you what an incredible experience it has been for me, who obviously have kids who have played hockey. So I'm used to we belting people, shots to the head, all that kind of stuff. So this whole track is new for me, but I must tell you, he was crossing a line up at Northfield 2 weeks ago and had a tear rolling down my eye, seeing the kind of emotionalism. So really, I think the part of the pact between generations in any good and great society is that the generations that came after us will have as much or more opportunities in life. You and I had the opportunity for a Catholic high school education. We do not want to be the generation that lets that opportunity die. I can honestly say that in my family life, in my work life, in my community life, and in my faith life, I believe that I learned a great deal of what I needed to know by the time I graduated from Cathedral High School. Catholic school values have been the underpinning and keystone of my life, and I'm very grateful for that fact. I believe that gratitude is not just a word, not just a feeling, but most importantly, it is an action. If any of us has said that we are grateful for our Catholic school education, then we need to do more with that gratitude than give it lip service. We need to act on that gratitude by giving this present generation the resources it needs to have what we had. Whether it was in the classroom where the Sisters of St. Joseph instilled in me that motto, more, or on the football field where Coach Billy Wise, sometimes in not quite the same words as his sister, also demanded that the best for me. I learned at Cathedral High School to expect and seek the best from myself. I want to be publicly committed myself tonight to give my best to this fundraising effort for Catholic school education. I hope and trust that you will join me in that commitment. Thank you very, very much. You're the best, Jeff. We go back a long time. Where's the hair? Where's the hair? One of my dear friends in public life, and even though we even have my sidekick here, Timmy, even though you're Republican, I want to let you know, really deep down, you were one of those liberal Democrats. That's all I can say. No, but thank you, sir.
Folks, just before I introduce the individuals who will actually enhance what is known as the next steps, who are Tim Allen, Tim Rook, and Ryan McCullum, I also want you to know this gentleman at my right, the president of your city council, has been a stalwart in this presentation here tonight. So it's Councilor Fenton, and we all should recognize him accordingly. So I'm going to introduce Mr. Allen, Mr. Rook, Mr. McCollum. They may each individually come up here or collectively and address you. Here they are.
Hi everybody, I'm Brian McCollum, class of 1997, Cathedral High School. Before I get into thank you. There's one person. 97 too? 97 as well? Before I get into what the next steps are, because I know everybody's eager to hear what they can do to help us, I think we need to give a round of applause to Judge Velas, doing a wonderful job. I met Judge Velas by working on his nephew's campaign, and right away I knew he was just one of the most talented people that I've ever met. So thanks again. So what can we do? I'm a campaign guy. Some East Forest Park people like this. They got a McCullum and a Rook working on the same campaign, which is great. It's really great. We have so much talent, and so many people have won so many campaigns all on the same side. So now we have to harness it, and instead of trying to get the most votes, we need to get just one vote. We need to just get the bishop's vote, and we need to convince him that we need to rebuild the cathedral on Surrey Road. So I have about 4 things. Councilor Rook has 3 or 4 things, and so does Councilor Allen. My stuff's more the generational stuff, the millennial stuff, but a lot of folks who are older, baby boomers and older than that, are on Facebook. And a lot of you folks here are here because you've heard about it on Facebook, or you liked our page. If you haven't liked our page and you're on Facebook, it's right here, Facebook.com/Save Cathedral. Find us, like us, share it. And when we update statuses and ask you guys to do kind of viral things, do that as well, because what that will add is stickiness. And stickiness means other people will join in, and we can get more and more people spreading the word. So find us on Facebook, like us on Facebook, and share our stuff. Twitter is the same thing. We're on Twitter, it's at Cathedral Action. Find us on Twitter, follow us, and tweet as well. Dan Bissett I work with as well. He's a marketing guy. He owns Get Set Marketing. He's a Cathedral grad. You know, they're the folks who designed this stuff. This just didn't come out of thin air. They actually donated some time to design this stuff. We have lawn signs. And Tim Allen's going to get into donations to the Committee for Cathedral Action, but Mike Fenton and I are going to be over here later with lawn signs. We have a limited number of them. We need more money to get them, so we're a small donation. You can get a lawn sign, display it. If you live near a church, especially, that's where we want lawn signs, so that the folks that are going to church and the priests that are going to rectory, they see a lot of lawn signs around the churches. Bumper stickers are not in, but they're coming in soon. I'm gonna be right there. If you can write down your address, we will pay for a stamp and we'll send you a bumper sticker. We need those things. Come see us after this. There's some other things that the counselors are going to come up and go over as well, because I know you're really biting at the bit to help out. The other thing is questions or comments. Again, if you have them, please write them down. Please put your hand up. Somebody's going to collect them so we can hear from you guys in an orderly fashion. So, Counselor Allen, I believe Counselor Rook's up next. Thank you very, very much.
Thanks, Ryan. My name is Timmy Rook. I'm here tonight as a neighbor, and I'm here as an alumni and as a parent. But before I start, I'd like to ask if there are any current or past teachers of Cathedral High School or priests, and if they'd like to stand up, we'd like to give you a round of applause. Thank you very much. We were all here tonight hoping and seeking to get an honest dialogue with the diocese. And unfortunately, due to conflicting schedules, some of that dialogue will not take place tonight. So, having said that, with everyone here, I would like to be honest. I am a graduate of Cathedral High School as well. Here comes the honest part. I was lucky to get the hell out of there. In 1980, we didn't have terrorists, but I think if we look back at the class that I graduated with, and some of my classmates are here, we might have come close. I was lucky when I went to Cathedral to have teachers. Sister Joan Mungavin, Sister Mildred Marengo, Sister Juliet Weena, Sister Mary Lynch, Miss Trella, who was here, and Mrs. Tenarowitz. Each of them provided me, a poor kid from Hungry Hill, with a spiritual, intellectual, and independent education. Without it, I don't know where I would be today, and I thank them for the great education that they gave me. I know many of us don't trust the diocese, and that is why we have not made a pledge. I overcame that mistrust the other day, and my wife and I made a donation, or made a pledge, so that the next child who needs an education, who needs some direction, some hope, and a lot of patience from the teachers can get it. So what I want to ask you to do is today, please join me and be a positive ambassador. Fill out the pledge forms that are on the tables, and please submit those cards. That is the challenge that the diocese has placed before us, and I would hope that we meet it. Within 7 months, we've raised $5.2 million. That's an incredible amount of money. If we can reach the $10 million goal, that's the benchmark that they set before us. Then I think that money will be used to reduce the tuition so that it becomes much more affordable, somewhere around $5,000 per family. That, I would think, possibly could double the population of the school. That's what's the most important thing, is to continue Catholic education and provide an opportunity for some of the poor families in the city and some of the middle class. So I ask you to please fill out the pledge card, and let's take a stick away from the diocese so we don't get continually beat up with it. Thank you very much for coming tonight. And if it wasn't for Cathedral, the sheriff and I might know each other on different levels. I go through my cousin Chris in the back of the room as well.
Hi everybody, I'm Tim Allen. It was a pleasure to meet Al DeLascia last year. Al himself is a committee. You guys have to understand what this guy does. Have you ever been on a committee where you're hoping at the end of the time that you don't get to the point that I'm about, that we've just been at? Well, we were the greatest committee in the world to be on, because when it comes time to divvy up the action items, Al takes all of them. And they're done by the time you wake up the next day. Honestly, this guy has put his life into this school, and I would request that you give him a standing ovation. It's unbelievable. So last year at this time, I was voicing my concern about Cathedral, Ward 7, and the concern of the school not getting rebuilt and all that. Talked to Mike, my buddy on the city council, and he said he had heard about this guy. This thing started a year ago this week in a pizza shop in Ludlow that I'd never been in before and never been in since. But we met in a pizza shop. Al came in with binders for all of us. You know, purple and white and inserts and sections and all that. Rest assured, you're not getting a binder tonight, but you are getting assignments. We hope you will take them. My day today, at the end of all these things, we have to do this stuff. We have to keep this. This is a campaign rally. This is a commitment we're all making to try to save something that's near and dear to us. I have a confession to make. I'm a 1969 graduate of classical high school. But I know as an elected official, hold on. I didn't always root for Cathedral, but I am rooting for Cathedral now. And so my two, I'm going to give you 2 action items, or 3 actually, the one we hadn't gotten to yet. And then I'm going to tell you about my day today, and tell you about a story about somebody I met today, who I hope we can all emulate when we leave here. The 3 action items are: 1, we formed a nonprofit. We don't have our 501c3 status yet, which allows you to give and take it as a tax deduction, but we do have our 180 status, which is a Massachusetts state nonprofit. Mike Fenton, luckily we have Mike. He's an attorney. He got that thing done in the last 2 or 3 days. So the first thing I would ask is consider giving to SaveCathedralNow.inc. Our treasurer is, we had to form of this nonprofit. Our treasurer is Daryl DeVillier. We can give you the details later if you want. 7 of us put in $300 each. Full disclosure, we needed about $2,000 to get started to buy the stuff we have. Well, we'd like to be able to run a full campaign. Mike and I did a conference call last week with someone that was on the Hoyle Catholic High School campaign. They said their entire campaign was 16 days. They got the news that they were closing on July 2nd or something, and they had the news that they had won the battle on July 18th, something like that. So this is a short campaign. This isn't something that's going to take you months and months and months. We heard that they're going to make their decision by Christmas, so we got to have a short, intense, but full-faceted campaign. So one thing is we would love to have support from you financially. For some of the things, we need to probably buy maybe some buses, some ads, maybe a billboard, whatever the things are. Any of you that want to help with the campaign side, we need your help. Second thing is committees. We have to form a couple committees. We know that there's a financial side to this. We know that Hoyle Catholic is not getting any money, no diocesan subsidy, and that's probably why they get the good news of staying together and all that. They raised $20,000 for their campaign in 2 weeks. One of the goals we have to achieve is that there's no diocesan subsidy for Cathedral. And in order to do that, we've got to understand the finances of Cathedral and be able to talk intelligently about how we can achieve that. So we would the second part there is we're going to have committees. I just gave you an idea if you want to be on like the political campaign committee or the financial committee or some other committee that you think would be a good something that we could do in the next month. We got about a month to pull this off. If we can pull it off, we got to do it really soon. So if you come and see me after the meeting, I'll be over here and we'll take names for committees. We have sign-up sheets. We have the names of a lot of people here on these sign-up sheets. So I hope that some of you will see fit to be able to join us on it. The third thing is, we heard from someone that the priests, and I know many of you have wonderful priests, they're friends of yours that you support, and you go to their mass, etc. I have the same. But we heard as a collective group, the priests are not supportive. Collectively. That's not picking on anybody individually. So we do think it's an idea to reach out to your priest after Mass this weekend, a call, a thank you card, a note, a request, and think of what happens in a political campaign. We go door to door, we buy ads, we go on TV, we go to events, we gotta do all that stuff. We have about a month to do it. And you're reaching out to your priest if you're comfortable with it, telling him you're a graduate, cathedral means a lot to you, whatever it is, that's another way to do this. So whatever you're comfortable with, that's a thought that if the priests hear from us positively about the impact of this school, that the message will get to the bishop. Let me tell you about my day today. I'm about to wrap up, but my day was like this. I teach at Elms College. I had an 8 o'clock class today. It was the only class I had. And we found out we were on the radio at 8:05. So I told Ryan yesterday I couldn't do it at 8:05 because I was in class. So we switched this to 7:05 on Adam Wright. So Mike Fenton and I were on Adam Wright today from about 7:05 to 7:30. Al was on Bax and O'Brien. I don't know how we got that mixed up, but at any rate. But Al can handle himself anywhere. So Al was on Bax and O'Brien at the same time. I then drove to Elms, taught my class, and on Thursdays, it's the only responsibility I have, although I have a million other things to do like all of you. And I thought the best thing I could do today would be to go to visit Cathedral High School. I knew this was happening tonight, so I said, you know what, I'm going to Cathedral. I had met Jeremiah Begley, who spoke to you before. He said, come to my class. I cleared it with him ahead of time. And I went to Cathedral High School. I got there about 11:45, and I had another Cathedral meeting at 2 o'clock at Ryan, so I had about 2 hours. Is Hannah here? Hannah, are you still? There's Hannah. See Hannah? I met Hannah today because she and Emma and Marissa were my 3 tour guides. In a matter of 2 hours, I probably met 80 or 90 kids. I didn't hear one negative thing about Cathedral High School. I'm not a graduate. I am the ward counselor. I want this thing back in my ward. I want it back in my city, in our city. We need it. It's important for the city of Springfield. It's important for educational options for everyone. We all know what we go through to get the things, the quality lives we want to have for ourselves and our kids. Hannah was one of the children. Her family moved to Rita Street so they could be near Cathedral. It's right over the hill. And then the tornado came. And now she goes to Wilbraham. Emma is from Springfield, and Emma was wonderful to me today, taking me around. But I'm going to tell you the story of Marissa. Marissa lives in Westfield. She said that she drives an hour to school each day. Well, I had just driven from Elms to Wilbraham, and there's no good way to do that. And it had taken me a half an hour. So I said to Marissa, do you drive like an hour total? She goes, no, I drive an hour to school and an hour back. That's Marissa from Westfield. She started in 9th grade there. She's a senior. Marissa, they took me all around the school. I went in the cafeteria, met everybody, etc. And then Marissa said, well, now we're in the science wing. I want to be a biomedical something or other. I never heard of what it was. But I said, I've never heard of it. How long have you wanted to be that? And she said, like 7 years. She said, well, my science labs don't pass the grade. This is my science lab. I'm not a science guy. But I know that wasn't much in that science lab. And she still drove an hour, then went to a science lab that doesn't meet her standards of what she needs for the major she wants to have in college. And then, but she still came. And then Marissa's sport was softball, women's softball, girls softball. Unfortunately, they cut that out at Cathedral in her freshman or sophomore year. Marissa is still driving 2 hours to be at this place. She's got her college applications in, and she's positive attitude, a great spirit. There was a great vibe in that school today. So when you go to figure out what you want to do, of any of these things you can do for us all, I ask you to think of Marissa and what she does every day for Cathedral. Thank you very much.
All right, folks, I've just been notified. Michael Langoni would like to come up and address you folks. He's from the Plumbers and Pipe Fitters Union 104, member of the building trade. Michael.
I'll be real quick. I'm a graduate in 1991, and I'm an East Forest Park resident, and possibly a parent of an incoming freshman. I'm here tonight on behalf of the Pioneer Valley Building Trades, just to let you all know, so that you can let Bishop Brzezinski know, that we had an agreement with Bishop McDonald that not if, but when this school is built, that the Pioneer Valley Building Trades will commit $1 an hour for every hour worked building this school, for every construction worker on this project. So, $1 an hour. Obviously, we haven't seen the plans or the specs or anything yet. I can't guesstimate, but I'm guessing it's going to have to be at well over 6 figures to donate to the endowment fund. Thank you.
Those are some of the smaller stories you hear. As the longer we get involved, the different people who are willing to donate or contribute. Daryl DeVillier, his firm, who's in financial services, my insurance agency, Tom Henchon, who's a contractor. There's a lot of people who are out there who want to contribute, who want to donate, who want to help. It's just a matter of getting them in the door to the diocese so that the bishop knows that. Mike shared that with me tonight, reminded me I forgot all about it. It's a significant amount of money that goes towards the tuition fund. So Mike, thank you and the building trades for what you guys did. Okay, folks, Ryan McCollum is going to field some of the questions, so we'll read them. And if in addition to that you have any other inquiries you want to make, just feel free to raise your hand and we'll recognize you. Ryan.
Thanks, Judge. Is Jeremiah still here? You may want to come up closer because some of these, I think you might be the best person in the room to answer. This question says, who will have the power, meaning the control over the endowment fund? What role will the diocese have in terms of these monies? So I don't know if you heard me, Jeremiah, but I guess who has the power of the purse strings over the endowment fund? And what role will the diocese have in terms of these monies? You want to?
That's probably a question for Dr. Southworth, who's not here tonight. So I probably couldn't answer that one.
You want to come up and coach? Coach Fantusco, an institution of Cathedral Rally.
Hi. The money is pretty much going to be controlled by the committee. It's not going to be controlled by the diocese. One of the problems that you can all do by simple math is just take any kind of figure, 10 million, 15 million, and multiply it times a nominal interest rate. And what that basically tells you is it's not enough. Anything times 2 or 3% is not going to be enough. So what we're hoping we can do, and this is something I've been preaching all along, is I think we need to jumpstart Cathedral a little bit, and we need to make tuition affordable. I think, as Tim Rook said, to get it down to about $5,000 is going to take a lot of money. But the money that's coming in is going to be controlled by the school, the committee, the board of directors, not the diocese. And in my opinion, we should be using a whole lot more than a principal to get this thing jump-started and getting it back on track to where we need it to be. So that's the answer to that question.
Very good. Thanks, Coach. Sure.
I've been here 50 years. I don't think I'm going anywhere.
You said that pretty much the committee is going to run the endowment fund. Are there documents that have been created to establish that committee, and could those be made public and put on the Facebook page so that we can all assess for ourselves who really controls the purse strings of that endowment fund, and whether there are any loopholes by which the diocese would be able to exert control?
Wow. I guess nobody's going to get home for an 8 o'clock kickoff. Are there paperwork? Yeah.
You can thank the Sisters of St. Joseph for that.
Yeah, I don't blame them. If I was a sister of St. Joseph, I would be upset too. You know. The answers are, I honestly don't know completely. I know that we were told that they want to use just interest to endow this thing, and they don't want to use the principal. Now that's okay in an environment where you have significant interest rates, but where we have such low interest rates now, it's just not going to be enough money. So I think that what's going to eventually happen is that we're going to get together, and depending upon what the bishop says, and if he allows this to happen, give us a certain degree of flexibility in terms of being able to use a touch of the principle as it's needed. They're afraid it's going to run out, of course, but the real issue, and I think Daryl referred to this, is 10 million is not enough. If we need to put a jump start into this fund for a couple of million, I think it would pay off years down the road when we could raise tuition up again. But in order to get the type of kid that we need to get in from Springfield now, we have to subsidize them. And I don't know how we're going to do that with the interest on $10 million. So either we're going to have to use some principal, or we're going to have to figure out a way for someone to eat the deficit for the first couple of years. But all the paperwork will eventually be exposed before anything is distributed. I know that doesn't answer it completely, but this is a work in progress, but the diocese is not going to take this money.
Thanks for that question, and maybe that's something that the CCA can ask for, is some documentation behind the endowment fund to be made public so that we can give potential pledgers the faith that it's not going to go somewhere else. One of these questions was, we have a pledge through CHS's endowment fund, can we activate it? So the way to activate it, if you'd like to, is to get in touch with the advancement office and say you want to turn your pledge into a donation. I made a pledge the other day. The best part about making the pledge is that it doesn't get activated until you either activate it or a shovel hits the ground. So some folks who are reluctant to give because they don't know what's going to happen with the money, and they don't want to give money that when we don't rebuild the school, the pledge means that the shovel hits the ground and then it's activated. Now, this probably is for you or anybody else part of the committee. If it turns out that the bishop will not rebuild CHS, what does the CCA propose to do? So that can be anybody who want to come up and.
Yeah, I can start it.
I think Daryl wants to say something at some point. Come on up.
First of all, I'd like to think positive in that we are going to make a positive impact so we do build the school. If they don't do it, then, what happens then? Well, we've had some discussions about financing the school separately somehow. That's a difficult thing to do, but not impossible. There are Catholic schools that are not run by a diocese. They're run by essentially a board of trustees. So that sort of thing is possible. It's not easy, but it is possible. But I'll tell you one thing, we're not going to give up. We're not going to stop until we see a new Cathedral High School.
There's a lot of alumni here, and many, many years ago, that same concept was brought up by a very strong alumni, John DeCenza and Tommy Burke. I don't know Tom, but he was a local business person. Great guys, very committed to Cathedral. And their thought was to privatize the school. And in the interest of keeping my speech relatively short and positive, that's the plan B in my opinion, and not to be negative, that if the diocese doesn't want to be in the education business, then I think collectively we have to shoulder Cathedral High School. We have to say, folks on Elliott Street, guess what? If you guys want to be out, that's fine. Take the FEMA money, build the building. We'll take the assumption that it's ours to fund and to finance, and we can do it. And I think it's critical that we remember, they say it in catechism in my years of Catholic education, the building is not Cathedral. We are Cathedral. We are the church. So it's time to put up or shut up, in my opinion, that if we don't get what they want, we need to demand what we want. Build our school, it's our school, and we'll finance it. I think that's what we got to do. And that's the plan B, and I hope we don't have to go that way.
I don't know if Pat, maybe this is an answer for you or somebody else who's involved in the day-to-day. And I don't even know if there's an answer, but is the new building designed to be built in stages / expansion? And I'm not sure it's been designed at all, but I don't know if Pat, you want to answer that?
Thank you. Just to give you an update on that, as I mentioned earlier, about 75% of the ed specs are complete. And for anybody who's in that kind of business, that's a big part of the design of a building. The other part of that question is it going to be in expandability? Yes, it would be. They are planning on building, or the architect is working on plans where it would be expandable. So if for some reason or other we grew from 400 to 500 to 800 and we built it for 500, they would put the building up so that there were options that they could expand it out.
Thanks, Pat. If anybody has any other questions, please write them down. We'll have somebody grab them. This last question, a little cryptic, but priests not supportive caused by the bishop. I said earlier that we're looking for one vote. We're looking for the bishop's vote. The folks who talk to the bishop are your priests. And so they're the people you see every Sunday, or some people who are better Catholics than me see him more than every Sunday. You want to lobby them any chance you get. Stand in line after church and wait for him to receive whoever else and ask him to rebuild cathedral. Call the rectory and tell him you want to rebuild cathedral. Write a note and make it personal. You know, these form letters are great, but if you have a personal note that priest, Father so-and-so gets about why cathedral is important to you, important to your faith, important to your family, and overall important to your life, they're gonna communicate that to the bishop if they get an overwhelming amount of that stuff. So please, please, please tell your priests that you want cathedral back on Surrey Road. I don't know if there's any other questions. I'm gonna hand it back over to our MC. As I said before, there's gonna be folks. We'll all be up here. So if you have questions for us or about what you can do, thank you. This might be you again, Pat. What's the status of the Demore Challenge Fund, and how is the building plan to be sized?
I did call the school today to get one of those answers. We are right now at about 347 pledges away from meeting the last goal from the challenge from the Demores. So I would imagine we might have an opportunity of getting 347 pledges tonight, which would put us over, which I think was one of the goals when I met with the CCA group last Saturday. They were hoping to make an announcement that we'd be at 2,000 donors. But we're very close, and I'm very confident with the outport tonight that we might just see that in the next few days. As for the size of the building, the size that we are looking at, the board's recommendation is that we put out a building at the size of 500 students. We feel that that is an appropriate size school for this area, so that we can make it affordable, sustainable, and also the teacher-student ratio would be down to like about 12 or 13 students per teacher. So we felt that was the appropriate size.
Thanks, Pat. Again, on the pledges, there's pledge cards here, but it's also very easy for folks who are somewhat internet savvy to go to cathedralhigh.org, and it's right in your face. Pledge here, go there, fill it out. It's very, very simple. So when you go home, if you didn't get a chance to fill out a pledge card tomorrow at work or wherever you're in front of your computer, please do so if you feel willing. Just another note that Al wanted to make. We're not just going to meet here and then say that's it, hand out some lawn signs. We have your contact information. If we don't have your contact information, there's sign-in sheets at the front. We need your contact information, especially your email, so we can stay in touch with you and let you know what we're doing. Because we need to harness this group that we have here. So if there's any other questions?
I'd like to say something. What is the future of Catholic education with the closing of 70 churches
all of these schools being closed, where are we going? Why don't we do something tonight? I'm willing to donate $100 right away to start getting these signs moving. Why don't we pass the hat and have everyone donate? I trust this group in the front, and I want to see Cathedral saved. So let's put up our money starting tonight.
I'll second that.
Victor Anna, thank you very much, sir.
Pass
Really
the hat.
appreciate it. Thank you, Victor.
And so, if folks want to follow the lead, Al would gladly take some of your money. And we do actually have, as Tim mentioned before, a 1080 with an actual name, it's Save Cathedral High, Inc., that you can make a check out to as well. So I'm going to hand it back over to the judge.
All right, folks, just to make sure for completeness, as everyone in their own minds now, are you satisfied that there aren't any more questions? And if there are, please feel free to ask whomever you'd like to ask.
Pass the hat.
There's a pass the hat cry that seems to be prevailing. Yes, ma'am. Will there be future meetings? Is that the question? Ryan, the question is, will there be future meetings?
Yes, there will definitely be future meetings. Like I just said, we need your contact information so we can make sure to contact you any way we can, whether that's phone number, email, Facebook, etc. We do have a closing prayer.
Closing prayer, folks.
So I think we might have run out of pledge forms, which is a good, bad problem. There's 200 of them. Timmy Allen has some in the back. There's some pledge forms in the back. Sister.
Okay, folks, we do have a closing prayer, as Ryan just said. Yes, sir. Folks, can we just have it quiet for a moment, please?
I think the suggestion was if you're a husband and a wife or spouses that instead of donating 100 or pledging $100 as just one of the folks in the couple, that you do 2 for 50 or split them up so we can have more pledges. That's an excellent idea.
Anyone else? Anyone else? Okay, folks, I'm going to call on Sister Joyce Wise to give us prayer and out, please, folks. Could you? All right, remain quiet. Thank you.
I just want to say, we are on holy ground. God bless you. God bless all of you for your goodness and for coming. And I really, truly think it's going to be a Merry Christmas. And I know God is very much a part of this. And I had a laugh at Mike Ash making a crack about my dad. It's too bad he's not down here. He'd really go visit Bishop Brzezinski and we get an answer. God bless you.
Okay, folks, have a good evening. Thank you.